All right, Alexander. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Facebook, which is now called Meta. He was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and the big exchange that's making the rounds is when they started to talk about the Hunter laptop and what went down there with regards to censorship and suppression. And Zuckerberg said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that the FBI came knocking on Meta's door. They wanted to speak to some executives, not him. They didn't speak to him, but they spoke to other Meta executives. And they brought with them a warning. And they said that we're hearing some chatter about Russian disinformation. This was in 2019. We're hearing that Russian disinformation is about to hit the interwebs and something's going to go down. So just, take your precautions, Facebook. Be aware of this and follow your protocols and do what you have to do so that this disinformation doesn't ruin the election process. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it was something along those lines. And everyone is now talking about this exchange because Zuckerberg, on the one hand, he's thrown the FBI under the bus. That's obvious. On the other hand, he's admitted that a branch of the U.S. government interfered in the elections. A branch of the U.S. government censored information, which goes against the First Amendment. You can't do that. And my own personal belief is that he's kind of fibbing on the actual exchange as well. I don't think it was, there's going to be some Russian disinformation. We don't know what it is, and just be aware of that stuff. I think everybody knew exactly what was going to happen and exactly what was about to drop, given the fact that the FBI had everything about the laptop anyway. I think he's kind of fibbing on all of that. Anyway, it's all over the place on the internet.
I'm sure you're absolutely right about that. By the way, I mean, if you really believe that they didn't all know what was coming, then, as I always say, I have a bridge to sell you, because, the whole thing is just nonsensical. And bear in mind, when the story of the laptop appeared, what happened? We have all these people from, the deep state, ex-deep state people coming out, signing statements, publishing letters, saying, we've all got to be careful about Russian disinformation. They'd all prepared this. This has all been set up in advance, that this was going to be the response if there was going to be a leak of this kind. So they'd already themselves to do it. And of course, we now hear from Zuckerberg, not that I take very seriously much of what he says, but Zuckerberg has confirmed that institutions of the United States government, the government of the United States, including its premier law enforcement and counterintelligence agency, were going around giving warnings of this nature, which, to be very clear about it, altered the course of the election. Because if that information, if that story had been published and published properly and circulated properly, the outcome of the election might have been different than it was.
Yeah. Given the results of the midterms, if something happens and if it happens as we expect it to happen, as many people expect it to happen, the Republicans gain a significant majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. Should they not only investigate the FBI and see everything that happened here, but shouldn't they also investigate the protocols and policies of Facebook and Twitter? Because Zuckerberg brought up Twitter as well. And obviously, they were censoring information on the orders of the FBI, and it resulted in what many believe was a skewed result
absolutely
in the outcome. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you can present this how you will, but the fact of the matter is, here you have so-called private companies, this is what they always hide behind, Twitter and Facebook, acting upon what are referred to as warnings, but warnings can sometimes be closer to instructions of agencies of the US government. Now, I would have thought that has very, very, very major First Amendment implications. And First Amendment implications as they pertain to Twitter and Facebook, because they're not independent of the US government, quite obviously, because they are doing what the FBI, which is an agency of the US government, is telling them to do.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you think Zuckerberg said what he said? Do you think he messed up and this was a mistake? Or do you think this was deliberate because he understands what's coming down the pipe and he wants to, as I noted in the beginning of the video, which is something a lot of people are saying, he wanted to deflect away from the responsibility that Facebook has in this developing story and throw it all onto the FBI, which I have to say right now at this moment in time, it's acceptable to bash the FBI given everything that happened at Mar-a-Lago. So if there's any point in time where it's okay to criticize and to critique the FBI, it's right now. I mean, it's very accepted now to say that the FBI is doing X, Y, and Z, and look at how they're operating. So, do you think this was a mess up? He messed it up, or do you think this is all part of his way of trying to deflect away from Facebook and throw it all onto other social media companies like Twitter and the FBI and avoid what could be coming in the future?
No, I'm absolutely sure that Zuckerberg knows exactly what he's doing, and he's trying to throw the whole blame onto the FBI. Now, but can I just say before we go on, though, the concerns about the FBI now are enormous, because we see the FBI playing a role in American political life, which, frankly, is extraordinarily disturbing. I mean, I'm choosing my words now extremely carefully, but I mean the FBI, if the Republicans get control of Congress, if they eventually regain control of the executive, then for the sake of the Republic, which they're supposed to be concerned to defend, they need to get on top of and find out what's been going on within the FBI. They've had opportunity after opportunity ever since the Russiagate scandal, came to the fore to do that. They've constantly missed their chances to do it. Their failure to do so, I'm talking about the Republicans now, their failure to do so, well, we see how dangerous it is. They've got to get on top of this problem of the FBI. But you're absolutely right. We mustn't let Zuckerberg himself get away with this and say, well, it's nothing to do with me. It was all the FBI. They came knocking at our door. They were giving all these warnings. They told us, we got to be really careful and we mustn't publish this and we mustn't publish that because, the Kremlins were behind it. And once upon a time, if the government had come along to a media agency, and, Facebook, Meta, is a kind of media agency in the United States, and told them, you mustn't publish a story because, there might be the Russians, the Kremlin might be behind it. Once upon a time, the US media, which valued its independence, would have told the FBI, get lost. That's what they would have said. And that's what Zuckerberg should have said. That's what the others should have said. Instead of which, they tamely followed the warnings, or were they actually orders? So, I mean, you mustn't say, just because, the FBI told them that this is a get out of jail card. On the contrary, it's not a get out of jail card. It comes back to the point that I made before. What it shows is the extraordinary connection between these social media giants and the agencies of the United States government, the deep state, if you like, the permanent state. And that puts them, to my mind, in the crossfires of any legal claim under the First Amendment.
And we've seen the evidence from Snowden that they are very well connected, these two entities. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Why should we believe that the FBI knocked on a door and just gave some friendly advice to Facebook about Russian misinformation and left it there? I mean, that's very hard to swallow. That story.
If you swallow, if you want to believe that, then as I said, I've got plenty of religions to sell you. I've got the Eiffel Tower as well. You can buy that too. I can give you all these things because, frankly, you are a person who swallows an awful lot.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. The Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code Good Day and the Duran.locals.com. Take care.